This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
Thanks for joining us, in David Ono.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. You're watching Eyewitness News at 4 live on ABC 7, Hulu, and wherever you stream. We'll have more from LAFD Christian Crowley in just a moment. But first, an update on the fires themselves. We are now 4 days into this disaster, which may be the worst ever in Southern California. 2 devastating fires still burning from the Palisades out to the San Gabriel Valley. But they are not the only 2. Multiple fires in the San Fernando Valley, another in Acton, none of them fully contained. All of it putting a strain on resources already stretched to the limit and beyond.
We're getting a first look from above at the devastation from the Eaton fire. Like the Palisades, it is almost beyond belief. Large sections of Altadena are simply gone. At least 6 people have been killed in this fire, and we fear that number will go higher. Some 14,000 acres have burned and more than 7,000 structures, including thousands of family homes. The National Guard has been deployed to help in the Eaton fire area.
And we have crews on the ground throughout the fire zones. Our coverage begins with Eyewitness News reporter Anabel Munoz live in Altadena. Anabel.
Colleen and Ellen, that number that you just shared, more than 7,000 structures. And as David, you put it, family homes. You can see some of those behind me. I'm at the intersection of Marengo and Mariposa. And this is just a fraction of what we're seeing here in Altadena. If I just cross over to the other side, you see similar devastation, charred cars, homes reduced to rubble, a community that is very rich in history, in many cases, generations of history and Black history here in Altadena. The news outlet The Griot described Altadena as a sanctuary for Black Americans who were fleeing Jim Crow South. We spoke with one resident who shared a little bit of his story and how his grandfather bought a home here in the 60s, and he's still trying to save it. Right now, let's go to some images from Air 7 to show you what we looked at this morning here in Altadena as we began to visually get a sense of the historic scope of the devastation this fire has caused. This is now deemed the second most destructive fire in California history. As Eyewitness News has been covering this, we've probably spoken with dozens of people who either lost their homes and others who were somehow saved. And those people are also dealing with the complex feelings of guilt and grief for their neighbors and for these entire communities. Funding for relief and rebuilding will be critical here. Today we spoke with U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, who met with federal firefighters with the U.S. Forest Service who have been on the front lines. He toured some of these areas with Governor Gavin Newsom. And along with the firefighters, some residents have either stayed back or come back into these communities to try and save their homes. One of those residents is Akeem Mair, who you will hear from right now.
The rich history that existed here is like it's very old town feel. Like it's very preservative of our past parents. Like some of these houses that you see, they've been passed down from generations to generations to generations. Mine's have. My grandfather bought my house in 1963, and I've been preserving it. So he's been dead for 10 years, and I've been trying to hold it on to him right now. So
absolute heartbreaking. I mean, what I think of when I see each property is every house is a home, and every home is a family. And it's both the loss and the devastation, the heartbreak right now, but then the long process of rebuilding. Dealing with insurance, dealing with contractors, trying to rebuild a home and a life. But in the meantime, where are you living? In the meantime, where are kids going to school?
Well, we spoke with Senator Padilla about the resources that are available. As you may know, President Biden declared this a major disaster, opening up the possibility for different sources of funding and assistance, including loans, for example. Padilla directing folks to this website for additional information to apply for those resources. That website is disasterassistance.gov. Again, disasterassistance.gov. Again, we're just beginning to hear from folks who are either coming back into these neighborhoods, and some, as the resident that you heard from just moments ago, who are staying behind trying to save these homes that represent a lot of history in their own families. Reporting live here in Pasadena, Anabel Munoz, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Anabel, thank you. And surveillance video and witness accounts are raising questions about whether the Eaton fire may have been started by a downed power line.